I've been in many countries and mixed with many men.
I've shared the days of sunshine, gone with them in the rain.
The fires at evening said we were brothers. The fires at evening said we were brothers. A soldier I saw weeping beside a dying friend.
My officers had preached I must hate him till the end.
But seeing his grief I knew we were brothers. But seeing his grief I knew we were brothers.
A man sat on a doorstep to see the children play. The gentle way he smiled there would charm your fears away. A stranger he but love made us brothers. A stranger he but love made us brothers.
One day I climbed a mountain with friends of other lands.
The words we used were different, but joy one understands.
Our gladness in God's world made us brothers. Our gladness in God's world made us brothers. Though words and customs vary like waves upon the sea, one life beneath the surface binds everyone to me. Who knows himself knows all men as brothers. Who knows himself knows all men as brothers. Then brothers, why endeavor to set ourselves apart? The fences we've been building squeeze tight upon our hearts. Come sing the truth that all men are brothers. Come sing the truth that all men are brothers.
This is week 26. The Redeeming Light. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. The book of Isaiah in the Bible, chapter 9, tells us, "The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined." What is this light of which so many scriptures speak? In the Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda, we read of an early experience the Master had with that light. "I was blessed about the age of 8 with a wonderful healing through the photograph of Lahiri Mahashaya. This experience gave intensification to my divine love. While at our family estate in Ikapur, Bengal, I was stricken with Asiatic cholera. My life was despaired of. The doctors could do nothing. At my bedside, Mother frantically motioned me to look at Lahiri Mahashaya's picture on the wall above my head. Bow to him mentally. She knew I was too feeble even to lift my hands in salutation. If you really show your devotion and inwardly kneel before him, your life will be spared." I gazed at his photograph and saw there a blinding light, enveloping my body and the entire room. My nausea and other uncontrollable symptoms disappeared. I was well. At once I felt strong enough to bend over and touch Mother's feet in appreciation of her immeasurable faith in her Guru. Mother pressed her head repeatedly against the little picture. O omnipresent Master, I thank thee that the light hath healed my son. I realized that she too had witnessed the luminous blaze through which I had instantly recovered from a usually fatal disease. Where my light is, God once told a saint whom the divine light had healed, no darkness can dwell. The divine light, pure, calm, liberating, is the only final cure for every kind of delusion, ill health, emotional grief, and spiritual ignorance. Seek it daily in the silence, in deep meditation. As the Bhagavad Gita says in the 5th chapter, for whom the darkness of the soul is chased by light, splendid and clear shines manifest the truth, as if a sun of wisdom sprang to shed its beams of light. Thus, through Holy Scripture that has spoken to mankind.
I'd like to share a song with you all. This is a song written by Swami Kriyananda, the founder of Ananda Sangha worldwide, and it's a song that's entitled "Devil Worship." Now, it's a satire song. Swamiji is quite a unique songwriter. And he in this song is talking about the devil being aspects of our nature that embraces anger, that embraces hatred, that embraces religious bigotry. And so I'd like for you to sing along with me on the refrain of this song. And the refrain is very simple. What we need is light. Okay, let's hear you.
What we need is light.
Okay, don't forget to clap. And try to do it on beat. Brother, I've a faint suspicion you and I've been led astray, taught to drive the devil from us. We've invited him to stay. Let's hear you now. What we need is light. For you can't drive out the darkness with a stick, with a stick. No, you can't drive out the devil with a stick. Some proclaim all men are sinners, can escape the devil's might. How their interests must intrigue him, they won't let him out of sight. Let's hear you now. What we need is light, for you can't drive out the darkness talking sin. No, you can't drive out that devil talking sin. Some of us were taught the slogan, social evils must be slain. How can anger drive out sorrow? How can passion conquer pain? What we need is light, for you can't drive out the darkness. Why you hate, no, you can't drive out that devil. Why you hate? Brother, have you ever wondered why the darkness lingers on? If you want to greet the sunrise, let us turn and face the dawn. What we need is light, for you'll only best the darkness when you love. When you love, yes, you'll only best the devil when we love. It's a joy to be with you all today. As I introduced the group earlier, this is my wife, Dikshini, Tyagi Dikshini, and I'm Tyagi Ram, and we're a part of the religious order, the Nayaswami religious order, through Swami Kriyananda that he just recently founded, and we're aspiring to become Nayaswamis, and that means a part of the new Swami order. I'd like to read to you from a book of prayer poems entitled Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Yogananda. Yogananda was a truly interfaith and ecumenical religious teacher. When he came to America, he talked about, especially in this book, the unity, coming to present the unity of all religions. He said, I've come to teach the original Christianity as taught by Lord Jesus and the original yoga as taught by Krishna to show that they're one and the same and the basis for all true religions to unify someday. And in this Whispers from Eternity, he dedicates unto all the soul temples of Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hebrews, Hindus, and others, wherein the cosmic heart throbs equally always, and unto the mighty colored lamps of all true teachings, in which shines the same one flame of God, and unto all churches and mosques, viharas and tabernacles, and temples of the world, wherein our own one Father dwells impartially in the fullness of his glory. I'd like to read, this is my favorite prayer that Yogananda gives in this, in his book of prayer poems. It's entitled, Prayer Demand, Make Me Anything, a Christian or a Hindu, anything to realize thee. Let me be Christian, Jew, Hindu, Buddhist, Mohammedan, or Sufi. I care not what my religion, race, creed, or color, if only I can win my way to thee. But let me be none of these, if that identity enmeshes me in an enclosing net of religious and social formalities. Let me travel the royal high road of realization, which leads to thee. If I am traveling on some bypath of religion, lead me onto the one common highway of realization that leads straight to thee. Send me the sunshine of thy wisdom that leads me to the morning of my growing powers, and send me the moon of thy mercy to guide me rightly if ever I am lost in the dark night of sorrow. This weekend we had a gathering up on the mountaintop, Mount Baldy. How many of you were able to attend that gathering? Well, that's great. And it turned out well? You made it to the mountaintop, Brooke? That's great. Yeah. Well, this weekend I had my wife and I went to the zoo. We went to the zoo instead. We wanted to have an ecumenical message and satsang with the animals. There's something about nature that is all embracing, and be it up on the Mount Baldy or at the zoo or at the beach. But more importantly, all of nature is a reflection of something within ourselves. And that is what religion is all about, is finding that wellspring of truth within each and every one of our own hearts. What made a Buddha enlightened? What made Jesus the Son of God? What made Muhammad a prophet? What made Moses awaken that serpent in the wilderness? What made Krishna the one who awakened the gopis to their joy and bliss through the playing of their flute. It was going within and finding that wellspring of silence in the depths of our souls. Self-realization, Paramahansa Yogananda said, is the knowing in all parts of body, mind, and soul that we are now in possession of the kingdom of heaven, that we don't need to pray that it come to us. All we need is to increase our knowing. Increasing the knowing of who and what we really are. This is a marvelous thing. Dr. Lewis, Yogananda's first disciple, came to him in 1920, and it was Christmas Eve in 1920, and this dentist who had a wife and 2 children, he had this appointment set up on New Year's Eve, and he knew he was treading on difficult waters when he set this appointment up, and he told his wife, well, I'm going out. It was about 7 o'clock, New Year's Eve, but I'll be back to decorate the tree with you as we do every year. Where are you going, dear? Well, I've got an appointment. He didn't tell her where he was going. So he ended up going to Yogananda and having his first meeting with him. And he asked Yogananda, I'm a student of the Bible. And it says in the Bible, the light of the body is the eye. And if thy eye is single, thy whole body will be filled with light. Have you seen this inner light? And Yogananda's response was, yes, I think so. Can you show other people how to see this inner light? Yes, I think so. Well, show it to me then. He got all excited and said, well, under one condition, that you'll never avoid me ever in your life. And he thought, what type of condition is that, avoiding me? Well, Yogananda was a Hindustani, and he had dark skin, and in those 1920s America, there was a mental concept that anyone with dark skin was a little off. And prejudice was a very strong mental concept that people were bound to. And so Yogananda said, I want you to promise that you will never avoid me ever in public. And Dr. Lewis thought about this, and he said, yes, I will never avoid you in any situation. And Yogananda clapped his hands together. He said, great. Now I take charge of your life. He set him down on the floor on a woolen blanket, and this is essentially how we teach people how to meditate here, is placing a woolen blanket on the floor or over a chair. After practicing the yoga asanas for a period of time, you become more flexible and you can sit on the floor. Well, Dr. Lewis, as he writes in his book, he says, I was totally stiff and I sat on the floor in agony. But I sat on that woolen blanket, he said, and Yogananda placed his forehead up against Dr. Lewis's forehead. And he closed his eyes and he began to project the power and the light of God into Dr. Lewis. And Dr. Lewis went wild with joy. He just felt, he saw this inner light, this golden ring of light, this blue field and a 5-pointed white star. This golden ring, the blue field and a 5-pointed white star. Now this experience is a description of the star of the east that the 3 wise men followed at the time of the birth of Jesus. Yogananda said that inner light is something that is a manifestation within every human being. The animals at the zoo don't have that. It can't have that experience. It's only in human beings that can have the experience of the unification of the body with the mind and union with the soul. This light is the light of the soul. It's the doorway into omnipresence of God. After having this experience, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and Dr. Lewis drove home, and he was radiating. Every cell of his body was pulsating in light. And he drove into the driveway at 24 Electric Avenue, sort of an apropos name for the street that he lived on in Boston. We've been on pilgrimage to that address, and it's the house is still there, still intact, everything exactly the same. Even the bathtub that Yogananda would take the bath in is still there. Anyway, Dr. Lewis, he goes, drives in, he puts his key in the latch in the back door, opens the back door, and there's his wife with a rolling pin. And she looks at him. What happened to you? He was glowing like an angel. And he said, well, I had this appointment with Yogananda, and he touched me. I love that song that's in the church that I was raised in. He touched me, oh, he touched me, and oh, what joy did fill my soul. Something happened, and now I'm whole. He touched me and made me whole. And this is the blessing of the Guru. The Master, the enlightened ones have that power to transform each and every one of us beyond all time and space. They don't even need to be in the physical to touch you. There was a man who was a Swami under the Self-Realization Fellowship Order. I won't mention his name. But he told us this story of how he came onto the path. He was in Switzerland, and there was a guru there. And the guru was giving darshan. And so he went to the man, and he touched the guru's feet. And for 3 days, he was in ecstasy, in samadhi. And then after he came back, after this very powerful awakening, spiritual awakening, he came to this man, this guru, and said, "You are my teacher. You are my guru." He said, "I'm not your guru. Yogananda is your guru." And his response was, "Well, I've read Autobiography of a Yogi, but Yogananda's dead. He's no longer living." And this great saint who knew Yogananda in India, he said, "No, Yogananda's not dead. You're dead. Yogananda is very much alive." And at that point, he realized that Yogananda had used this guru to bring him onto the spiritual path. And he eventually became a monk in the Self-Realization Fellowship religious order. And Swamiji brought him into the order. Swami Kriyananda brought him into the order at that time in the 1950s. And he became one of the great teachers at the Lake Shrine. For those of you who know the man from Switzerland at the Lake Shrine who were connected with SRF, you know who I'm talking about, but I don't want to publicly mention his name. But he's passed on now. But the point of the story is that the omnipresence of the Guru is there. Like so many times people come here and they look at the images on our altar. In the middle we have Jesus. Babaji said, I was really the great avatar Krishna in a past life. And Lahiri Mahashai, who was the first Kriya Yogi, Lahiri Mahashaya was meditating and practicing Kriya Yoga, and he went into a state of ecstasy, and he started to realize, well, who am I? I cognized that I was the great Muslim prophet, Kabir. But yet in this incarnation, I am Lahiri Mahashaya, a Hindu yogi who initiates not only Hindus, but Muslim, Christian, Jew, into the sacred practice of Kriya Yoga. Priyanath Karar, Swami Shri Yukteswar, was a businessman, a land developer with a wife and a child. He met Lahiri Mahashaya, began to practice Kriya Yoga, and he immersed himself into that one light of God. Yogananda, as we heard the story, as a child was dying of Asiatic cholera, the most dreaded disease in India. Is this not correct, Baljinder? One of the most dreaded diseases is yeah. It's and Yogananda was dying as a child. This is no joke. This was the experience. And his mother was saying, even if you just nod your head toward the image of Lahiri Mahashaya, he will bless you. And Yogananda does this, and this power, this light flashes out from the image of the picture. And people come here often and will say, well, oh, you guys are worshiping pictures. We're not into picture worship. But these are not pictures. These are waves of consciousness, of spirit, of God manifesting through form. And if you have these images, I remember when I went to Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, there was a lot of voodoo going on and black magic. People were coming down with hexes and so forth, and we're going to the juju man and so forth. And so people were coming to us, we want protection. You know what I'm talking about. We want protection. We're constantly being attacked. And I said, okay. And we had the images, the pictures of Yogananda with us, and we gave these images out to the villagers that we were teaching in and so forth. This is a part of the protection plan. They put these images up in their homes, and miracles happened. They didn't have the trouble of these astral entities trying to come in and attack them. And it's a very real thing. I read a book before my trip to Africa about how this whole thing works, of invoking these astral entities to... There was a Frenchman, and this a very interesting story. He was a shopkeeper, and this man had a row with this shopkeeper, and he wanted to put a hex on him. So he went to this Sogama, a witch doctor, and he said, I want to put a hex on this guy. But the interesting thing was, the Sogama was a Jewish fellow from Brooklyn. This is a true story. Who lived in Africa for many years in the Peace Corps in Niger, and he came back and started his PhD thesis on the Sogamas, or the witch doctors of Niger. This story happened in Niger. And he was trained by the witch doctors, but he didn't believe it, the power of what he was doing, until this situation happened. And it woke him up. And so he said, okay, here's a chicken bone. I've done the incantations over it. Put it under the doorstep of this man and just see what happens. Well, a week passed, and all of a sudden, there was in this man's house, the Frenchman's house, his sister was there, and her mouth just inadvertently turned sideways. They couldn't figure out what was going on. They took her to the doctor. They took her to therapists. She was walking around distorted. Finally, they thought, well, maybe we should go back to Paris and, get some type of help. So they flew to Paris. As soon as they landed and got off the plane, her mouth turned back to normal. And then he realized, something happened. Well, this guy from Brooklyn, this Jewish guy from Brooklyn, heard this story. And at that point, he left. He couldn't handle it anymore. Because he realized he was the cause of it. That he was channeling this energy to affect people in a negative way. And there's forces at play that are very real in this world. And you can choose what continuum you want to follow. The forces of darkness. I mean, there are people who worship Satan straight out. Or you can choose the forces of light. Be on the side of the masters and the angels. And that's what our path is all about. It's the high road of realization. Yogananda said this path is the airplane route. You know, if we're going from here to New York, we can walk. We can ride our bicycle. We met a guy the other day from Palo Alto. He rode his bicycle around the world. I said, wow, man, you need to write a book on that. You can take a horse. You can take a bullock cart, a train, a bus, or you can take the airplane. You could take a jet, and you're there in 6 hours. The path of self-realization, as the masters have described, is a path so that you can accelerate on the journey to enlightenment. And it doesn't matter how many lifetimes that it takes. If you make the effort, you will arrive sooner or later. You know, when we went to the zoo the other day, we had a docent of the zoo, the LA Zoo, who was taking us around, and she was describing all the plants and the animals, and she was very knowledgeable about the evolution of our planet Earth. And she said, did you know that the hippos, the rhinos, the elephants, the camels all were native to North America? And I said, well, yeah, I was aware of that. I've been to the La Brea tar pits many times. Did you know what the street La Brea means? The tar. Just go to the end of La Brea, and you will find the tar pits on Wilshire, between Wilshire and, I think, Fairfax, in that area. But the animals, all these mammoths and all these animals have been found buried in the tar there. And she said something very interesting. Did you know that 50 million years ago, there was a meteor that hit this planet and burned up North America? And you know what the imprint of that meteor was? The Gulf of Mexico was formed from the impact crater of that meteor. And do you know what happened? When that meteor came in, it skipped and hit and exploded. They found a divot, like if you were playing golf, she was saying. If you were like playing golf and you hit underneath the ball too much, the earth is displaced and there's this divot. She said there was a divot that was found in Japan from that event. When you start thinking about the power of the universe that manifested and burned up, literally burned up North America, that same power is within you right now. God is infinitely large, incomprehensible, as it says in the Hindu scriptures, but also infinitely small. Dwells within each and every one of us. I want to close my talk today by doing just a few readings in commemoration of the Muslim faith. And this is very interesting because Lahiri Mahashaya said, I was the great Muslim prophet Kabir. And I'd like to share with you some of the quotes from Kabir. Are you looking for me? I am in the next seat. My shoulder is against yours. You will not find me in stupas, not in an Indian shrine rooms, nor in synagogues nor in cathedrals, nor in masses or kirtans, not in legs winding around your own neck, nor in eating nothing but vegetables. When you really look for me, you will see me instantly. You will find me in the tiniest house of time. Kabir says, "Student, tell me, what is God? He is the breath inside the breath," which is essentially the practice of Kriya Yoga. I'll just read a couple of more from sayings of Kabir, the great Muslim prophet and the reincarnation of Lahiri Mahashaya. I have been thinking of the differences between water and the waves on it. Rising, waters still water. Falling back, it is water. Will you give me a hint how to tell them apart? Because someone has made up the word wave, do I have to distinguish it from water? There is a secret one inside of us. The planets in all the galaxies pass through his hands like beads. That is a string of beads one should look at with luminous eyes. And this is the final one. Swan. Hansa is the word, Paramahansa means great swan, and this is the title that Yogananda's guru gave him. And we all are swans in this case. So, O swan, tell me your old story. What country have you come from, swan? What shores are you flying to? Where do you rest at night, and what are you looking for? It's dawn, swan, wake up. Soar to the air, follow me. There is a land not governed by sadness and doubt, where the fear of death is unknown. Spring forests bloom there, and the wind is sweet with the flower, he is myself. The bee of the heart dives into it and wants no other joy. Let's affirm this quality of God within us, this light, this transforming light of God within us, with these words of Kabir, the great Muslim prophet, the reincarnation as Lahiri Mahashaya. He is myself. Let's hear you affirm together.
He is myself.
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 He is myself. May God guide you and bless you on your journey of eternity to that self that lies within each and every one of our hearts.